Questions. The friction experienced by a body when in motion, that is known as the dynamic friction. So remember, when in motion, the friction experienced by a body, that is called dynamic friction. Now understand this figure. First of all, this is the stress strain curve, and here is the yield point, and here is the fracture point. So remember, stress is equal to F upon A, force upon area. Second question, the coefficient of restitution for elastic body. The coefficient of restitution for an elastic body is 0. But coefficient of restitution for perfectly elastic body is 1. So elastic body is 0, but perfect elastic body has a 1. The range of projectile on downward inclined plane is more than the range on upward inclined plane for the same velocity of projection and angle of projection. So we will see explanation this. If the range of projectile on upward on a downward inclined plane is more than, so this is the more than this. So on a downward inclined plane is more than the range of upward inclined plane. The path of the projectile is a parabola. The path of the projectile is parabola. So let me see the example, projectile motion. So this is the upward motion and this is the downward motion. So downward motion is more than upward motions. The angle of inclination of a vehicle when moving along a circular path does not depend upon its mass. So remember, the angle of inclination of a vehicle when moving along a circular path does not depend upon its mass. The maximum frictional force which comes into play when a body just begins to slide over the surface of the other body, that is known as a limiting friction. So maximum frictional force which come into play when a body just begins to slide over the other surface, that is known as a limiting friction. The mechanical advantage of lifting machine is the ratio of load lifted to the effort applied. So that is called mechanical advantage. Mechanical advantage of lifting machine particular, that is load lifted to the effort applied. Static friction is always greater than dynamic friction. So that body who is static, that condition have more friction than dynamic friction. A body will begin to move down an inclined plane if the angle of inclination of the plane is greater than the angle of friction. So at that time the body will begin, but the condition is inclined plane if the angle of inclination of the plane is greater than angle of friction. The bodies which rebound after impact, that is called elastic body. So what body? Rebound after impact, that is called elastic body. So remember, rebound after impact.
रिया, तुम दोनों हनीमून के लिए कहाँ जा रहे हो?
मॉम,
The maximum frictional flow which come into play when a body just begins to slide over the surface of the other body, that is known as a limiting friction. The angle between two forces when the resultant is maximum and minimum respectively. So maximum is the 0 degree and minimum is the 180 degree. So this is the resultant between two forces. The redundant frame is also called imperfect frame. So redundant frame is also called imperfect frame. When a rigid body is suspended vertically and it oscillates with a small amplitude under the action of the force of gravity, the body is known as a compound pendulum. So remember, this is the example, this is the frictionless pivot, this is the amplitude theta, this is the massless rod, this is the massive bob. This condition is the equilibrium position and bob's trajectory. The motion of the body from one extremity to the other, that is known as a beat. So that is known as a beat. So remember, the motion of the body from one extremity to the other, that is known as a beat. The velocity of particle moving with simple harmonic motion is maximum at the mean position. So the velocity of particle moving with a simple harmonic motion is maximum at mean position. A body is said to move or vibrate with simple harmonic motion of its acceleration is directed toward the mean positions. The ideal machines. So remember, in ideal machine, mechanical advantage is equal to velocity ratio. So mechanical advantage is equal to velocity ratio. But when the ideal machines, the angular velocity in radian per second of a body rotating at n revolution per minute. So angular velocity is given by 2 pi n upon 60. So this is the angular velocity of body rotating at n revolution per minute. The process of finding out the resultant force, that is called compositions of forces. So the process of finding out the resultant forces, that is called composition of forces. The potential energy of a vertically raised body is equal to the kinetic energy of vertically falling body. So remember, potential energy of vertically raised body is equal to the kinetic energy of vertically falling body. So here is the potential energy, here is the kinetic energy, but equal to. So remember it. Newton's second law of motion gives a relation between force and mass of moving body. Newton's second law of motion gives relation between force and mass of moving body. Again, non-coplanar concurrent forces. So these type of forces which meet at one point, but their line of action do not lie on the same plane. So non-coplanar, because do not lie on the same plane and meet at one point. So that is called concurrent because meet at one point. So remember, non-coplanar concurrent forces are those forces which meet at one point because concurrent, but their line of action do not lie on the same plane. So non-coplanar. The kinetic energy of body before impact is more than the kinetic energy of body after impact. So remember, kinetic energy of body before impact is more than the kinetic energy of body after impact. So after impact, kinetic energy is increased. Concurrent forces are those forces whose line of action meet at one point. So that is called concurrent. The point through which the whole weight of the body acts irrespective of its position, that is known as a center of gravity. So center of gravity is the point through which the whole weight of the body acts irrespective of its positions. Which of the following is a scalar quantity? So remember, speed is the scalar quantity. So vectors have magnitude and direction, but scalar have only magnitude. So speed have only magnitude. The fact that magnitude occurs from both scalar and vectors can lead to some confusion. There are some quantities like speed which have very special definition for scientists. By definition, speed is the scalar magnitude of a velocity vector. So remember. The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the impressed force and takes place in the same direction in which the force acts. This statement is known as Newton's second law of motion. The rate of change of displacement of a body, that is called velocity. So what is velocity? Velocity is the rate of change of displacement of body. A smooth cylinder lying on a convex surface is in neutral equilibrium. So remember that surface is the convex surface. So smooth cylinder lying on a convex surface is in neutral equilibrium. Okay, here is the actual machine. An actual machine mechanical advantage is less than velocity ratio. We have seen already mechanical advantage equal to velocity ratio into ideal machine, but in actual machine mechanical advantage is less than velocity ratio. If three coplanar forces acting on a point are in equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the same of the angle between the other two. So remember, this is the three coplanar forces acting on a point are in equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the sine of the angle between the other two. When the spring of watch is wound, it will possess strain energy. So remember, when the spring of watch is wound, it will possess strain energy. So what is say? In a screw jack, the effort required to lower the load is less than the effort required to raise the same load. The unit of work in SI unit is joule. We all know unit of work in SI unit is joule. The acceleration of particle moving with simple harmonic motion is 0 at mean position. So remember the acceleration. What is acceleration of particle moving with SHM simple harmonic motion is 0 at mean position. The total energy possessed by a system of moving body is constant at every instant, because the total energy possessed by a system of moving body is constant at every instant. Remember this equation, very important. In a screw jack, the effort required to lift the load is given by P equal to W tan alpha plus phi. So P is the effort required to lift the load, W is the load lifted, alpha is the helix angle, and phi is the angle of friction. So P equal to W tan alpha plus phi. This is the equation. A couple produce rotational motion. So couple produces rotational motion. For a self-locking machine, the efficiency must be less than 50%. So self-locking machine have efficiency less than 50%. Don't confuse. Self-locking machine is the efficiency must be less than 50%. 1 joule is equal to 1 Newton meter. 1 joule is equal to 1 Newton meter. Whenever a force acts on a body and the body undergoes a displacement, then the work is said to be done. So remember, but undergoes a and the body undergoes a displacement, then the work is said to be done. So remember, but undergoes a displacement. So work is said to be done. A non-reversible machine is also called self-locking machine, and her efficiency is less than 50%. If the gravitational acceleration at any place is double, then the weight of the body will be double. So 2z. If the gravitational acceleration at any place is double, then the weight of the body will be 2z. The law of motion involved in a recoil of gun is Newton's third law of motion. So recoil of gun, the law of motion involved Newton's third law of motion. In order to double the period of simple pendulum, the length of the string should be quadruple. Remember, in order to double the period of simple pendulum, the length of the string should be quadruple. If the number of pulleys in a system is equal to its velocity ratio, then it is a second system of pulleys. So remember, when the number of pulleys in a system is equal to its velocity ratio, at that time, it is a second system of pulleys. Two equal and opposite parallel forces whose line of action are different form a couple. So two equal and opposite parallel forces whose line of action are different, that is called couple. The maximum velocity of particle moving with simple harmonic motion is omega r. The unit of power in SI unit is watt. The unit of power in SI unit is watt. The resultant of two equal forces, P making an angle theta, is given by 2p cos theta by 2. So this is the resultant of two equal forces, P making an angle theta, that is given by 2p cos theta by 2. The force by which the body is attracted toward the center of the earth, that is called weight. So weight is the force by which the body is attracted towards the center of the earth. So that is called weight. Co-planar concurrent forces, we already seen, meet at one point and their line of action also lies on the same plane. So same plane, so co-planar, and meet at one point is the concurrent. So remember it. The time taken by a particle for one complete oscillation, that is known as a periodic time. So what is periodic time? Periodic time is the time taken by particle for one complete oscillation. So that is called periodic time. 1 joule. 1 joule means that work is done by a force of 1 Newton when it displaces a body through 1 meter. So that is called 1 joule. Again, 1 joule means that work is done by a force of 1 Newton and when it displaces a body through 1 meter. Frequency of vibration means number of cycles per second. So that is called frequency of vibration, number of cycles per second. The amount by which the outer edge of the rail is raised, that is known as a super elevation. The angle of inclination of the plane at which the body begins to move down the plane, that is called angle of friction. A ladder is resting on a rough ground and leaning against a smooth vertical wall. The force of friction will act zero at its upper end. So here we have to remember a ladder is resting on rough ground. So when the rough ground terms come, at the time we have to remember the force of friction will act zero at its upper end. A frame structure is perfect if the number of members are equal to 2j minus 3, where j is the number of joints. So when the frame structure is perfect.